Hey everyone, Tony D and Little Joan here with a hot take. It's a little bit, uh, it's not pleasant, not pleasant at all. Um, Talking about Antifa is already completely not pleasant, but I'm beginning to notice a pattern with Antifa, and at the risk of exciting the Pizzagate people, I have to call this out because I'm seeing more and more Antifa people being connected to. I don't want to say the word that's on the screen because I think YouTube will flag me for it. So I'm going to go with the term used in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, diddlers. Yeah. So there are child diddlers in Antifa. Now, the earlier articles, I think this is a pretty early articles. Yeah, this is the Irish Antifa, um, and there was the Antifa leader. His name's Pat Corcoran, and he was convicted of possessing many things related to that. But it didn't stop there. There was this article here of other uh, diddlers who were connected to the Antifa organization. And, so this is in Europe, obviously. Um, and they, I'm just going through the thing. In February of 2027, Russian Antifa members were sentenced to 6 to 18 years in prison for planning bombings intended to disrupt the 2018 Russian presidential election. Wow, they got him in Russia too. Of the seven, one of the principal figures, Armin, I can't pronounce that last name, was revealed to have a disturbing history with women and girls. Seven women came forward to recount details of their experiences with this individual, some of which was translated into English. The women, some of whom were as young as 14 when they had their experience with the Antifa leader, were all horrifically sexually assaulted. They were used as domestic slaves, forced to shoplift, routinely beaten, and threatened into performing degrading sexual acts. One was even infected with his HIV. Oh my God, this is dark. In Portland, and this is in the United States, and this is another article. Micah Rhodes of Portland's Resistance was arrested in 2014 and 2015 for sexually abusing a minor girl and minor boy. During his trials, the county sheriff revealed that Rhodes had an inappropriate history with minors dating to his youth. At 14, Rhodes was caught sexually abusing a 9-year-old boy, and at 15, Rhodes was caught with 3 much younger boys. Despite his history, Rhodes was spared all the prison time as the judge claims Rhodes was, quote, trying to change. And a more recent article from 2019, for the second time in recent weeks, this is the same guy, Portland protest leader Micah Rhodes stood before an Oregon judge ready to go to prison for having sexual contact with an underage teen. For the second time, an Oregon judge agreed to veer from state sentencing recommendations and give Rhodes 5 years of probation. What the hell is wrong with you? This guy has a long history. It wasn't just once. It wasn't just some kind of mistake. Rhodes was 20 and 21 at the time of his crimes in 2000. Oh, these are the same crimes. Age of consent laws varies from state to state, but most states allowing 16 or 17-year-olds. Oregon is one of about a dozen states that sets the age of consent at 18. Washington's at 16. Rhodes, now 24, was a leader of the protest group. Why is this such a problem in Antifa? Why? And that may explain this sign. This weird sign came out, I forget when this came out. This was a while ago, 2017. As you can see, it says, this is, I guess this is Berkeley. No white supremacy. Okay, that makes sense for Antifa. The bottom says no Mike Cernovich. Also makes sense for Antifa. And then the middle says no, you know what bashing. What? What? Why would you put that on the sign? And then NAMBLA's on the bottom of the sign. The NAMBLA? You know who NAMBLA is. Why are they connected to these guys? I mean, don't get me wrong. Antifa is bad enough that they're a bunch of Marxists and communists and agitators. But this on top of everything else? The Blaze reports that the Antifa group, this is also, I think, from 2017, known as Coalition to Defend Affirmative Action, Integration, and Immigrant Rights, fight for equality by any means necessary. Oh my God, what a long, ridiculously long name. Have led several anti-right riots, including the one against Milo Yiannopoulos. So that's about when this happened. According to the Daily Caller, BAM, by any means necessary, BAM's parent organization, the Revolutionary Workers League in Detroit, has worked directly with NAMBLA. What? BAM's co-founder, Eileen Sheff, is a member of the Revolutionary Worker League and an admitted member of NAMBLA. What? What? I mean, I had heard about a couple of weird incidents, and one I couldn't find, about an Antifa guy who had Diddler photography, let's say, but I didn't hear this. This guy I heard about before. He's a convicted diddler. He's the guy who stabbed a black Trump supporter. And he got bailed out. The Antifa stabbing suspect, who was bailed out today, this is August 13th, I assume that he, like the other violent criminal suspects, was bailed out by Antifa bail group who raised $1.3 million on GoFundMe. GoFundMe, by the way, is also raising money for the guys who got killed by Kyle Rittenhouse, right? And they're calling them heroes, and meanwhile, other groups, they don't get the raise on these platforms. Oh, but GoFundMe is super, super left. You are going to be in trouble for that, GoFundMe. I would stop. I would have a rule that you cannot raise money for criminals. But, oh, you're in the resistance. You're so wonderful and woke. This guy, even if you agree with that, this guy should have been an exception. You should have said no to him because he is a convicted diddler or diddler photographer, let's say. It's just terrible. Another one. This was in Washington. A convicted diddler was charged with felony assault stemming from violence at an Antifa and left-wing protest in Olympia, Washington. Oh, I thought it was Washington, D.C. This is also from the Post-Millennial. Shaylin N. A. Reed of Olympia is accused of striking a man on the head with a baton. What? Why is he even out of jail? I just don't get it. This guy was convicted of an incredibly horrible crime. He's 20 years old. Why is he on the streets? It'd be different if he was like 40 and got convicted 20 years ago. In 2017, Reed pleaded guilty to second-degree child diddling. He is a registered sex offender in Thurston County, Washington. Why is he not in jail? I don't get it. I mean, look, you want to argue that drug offenders, nonviolent drug offenders, should get out? Sure. The guy like this? What are you, out of your mind? And finally, I don't even have a news story pulled up because it's so new. As I said in my previous video, Kyle Rittenhouse, the first guy he shot, the guy who got shot in the head and died, he was also a convicted child diddler. Antifa has a huge problem here. I mean, they got lots of problems, and they're a terrible organization, and I want nothing to do with them. But my God, this is an awful lot. This is a high number of child diddlers or diddling-related activity to be associated with one group, isn't it? Am I crazy? I know you Pizzagate guys must be your bells and whistles are going off. I'm not a Pizzagate guy, but this, I think it's partly because in any extremist faction, you attract mentally ill people. You attract them because essentially your extremist stance can only be attractive to people like that. Only extremists can be attracted to extremists, I think. So that's why you have your ranks are made up of people like this. They're violent, they're extreme, they're messed up. They're messed up. If you are in Antifa or know anyone that's in it or supporting these people, you really need to take a look at yourself and look at what you're supporting here. And this is probably just the tip of the iceberg. There's probably a lot more criminality going on within Antifa, and they're just using politics as an excuse to do it. This is dark. This is nightmarish. I look forward to the FBI scooping these people up and throwing them in prison. I really do. I mean, I can't believe how many of these I found. And, you know, I only did about 20 minutes of research, but that's a lot. That's a lot. That connection is, you know, when I first saw that weird sign back in 2017, I just thought, well, that can't be right. That must be some sort of Photoshop thing by people trying to make Antifa look bad or something. Now I can see, no, there's something strange going on here. Do not support Antifa. Do not support these people, I say.